Russian President Vladimir Putin has hailed what he's calling a new multipolar world order after welcoming world leaders to the BRICS Summit. The meeting in Russia is the first since the alliance of emerging market nations took on 4 new members: Egypt, Iran, Ethiopia, and the United Arab Emirates. On the sidelines of the summit, Chinese leader Xi Jinping and Indian President Narendra Modi are set to hold their first bilateral meeting in 4 years. UN Chief Antonio Guterres is also present. He will sit down with Russian President Putin to discuss the war in Ukraine, a decision that has angered Ukraine's government. Well, another leader making the trip to Russia for the BRICS Summit is Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. His country is seeking to become the first NATO member to join the BRICS Club, which likes to see itself as a counterweight to the West. DW correspondent Yulia Han has more on Turkey's ambitions.
Turkish President Erdogan is trying to forge new ties beyond his traditional Western allies. For some time now, he has shown interest in joining BRICS. The bloc led by Russia and China includes some of the largest emerging economies and views itself as a counterweight to the Western-led global order.
Turkey cannot achieve its goals only by turning towards the West. Turkey can become a strong, prosperous, prestigious, and effective country if it develops its relations with the West and East simultaneously.
But Turkey is a NATO ally and a candidate for EU membership. So what is Erdogan hoping to get out of BRICS?
His Excellency, Mr.
Ankara's ties with its Western allies are often strained. Erdogan has sought to carve out a more independent foreign policy, analysts say, and to bolster Turkey's global influence.
Erdogan's policy has always been a balancing act, wanting to have a foot in each camp, and also where he can, playing off the West against Russia, the US against China, and so on. So BRICS probably provides an opportunity for that.
Erdogan is also frustrated with the European Union. Turkey's decades-old membership talks have been stuck, mainly because of what Brussels says is democratic backsliding under Erdogan. This limits Turkey's ability to trade and has prompted Ankara to look elsewhere.
This decision is also informed by the difficulties that Turkey has had in upgrading its economic relationship with Europe, and there's built up accumulated frustration over that.
Membership in BRICS could help the Turkish economy that's been ailing under Erdogan in recent years. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Founded in 2009, the economic bloc now has 9 members and generates more than a third of global GDP.
It could further facilitate the inflow of foreign direct investment from those countries, and here particularly China. And we've seen examples of recent interest from Chinese electric car manufacturers to invest in Turkey.
But BRICS is often described by its critics as a tool for Chinese and Russian influence and a platform for authoritarian governments. So what would that mean for Ankara's relations with the West?
It would be a big deal and really not something that European Union countries or Turkey's allies in the West would respond favorably. But from Turkish angle, I think it's a sign of desperation, trying to get the West to pay more attention to its needs.
A political gamble that could prove risky, and it doesn't seem clear at all whether or when Turkey would be accepted into BRICS. This year, the alliance already gained 4 new members. Some in the bloc have signaled they do not want further enlargement, at least for now. Erdogan might have to stay in the waiting line.
And DW's Yulia Han, who filed that report, joins us now from Istanbul. Yulia, what is President Erdogan hoping to get out of his meeting with President Putin at this BRICS summit?
Well, maybe some positive signals on Turkey's bid to join the BRICS bloc. A Kremlin spokesperson earlier today said that NATO membership wasn't an obstacle to becoming a member of BRICS, so we will have to wait and see. But the Turkish president has had his fair share of meetings with the Russian president since the Kremlin invaded Ukraine in 2022. The two leaders are known to get along pretty well. You know, Turkey is a NATO member, and it has balanced its relations between the West and Russia over the past year. It is a strong supporter of Ukraine's sovereignty. It has supplied arms and drones to Kyiv. At the same time, Erdogan has kept good relations with Russia. Ankara did not join Western sanctions, and that has helped the Turkish government to play an important role in some significant initiatives like the grain deal, prisoner exchanges. And I think Erdogan is still hoping to play the role of a mediator in any potential peace negotiations. But since he's also traveling with his trade and economy ministers, I think economic relations with Russia are also going to be high on the agenda for Erdogan.
How likely is it, Yulia, that Turkey will actually become a member of BRICS soon?
Well, experts say it's pretty unlikely that Turkey will become a full member of BRICS anytime soon. There seems to be quite some resistance from India, for example, in BRICS to a Turkish membership because of Ankara's good relations with Pakistan. The BRICS have recently come up and suggested some sort of partner country model for those wanting to join, and the list seems to be quite long. President Putin earlier today boasted that more than 30 countries wanted to join, among them countries like Azerbaijan, Nigeria, Thailand. So a partnership category might be more realistic for Turkey as well. And then I think it also depends on how Turkey's Western allies are going to react. We haven't seen much public reaction, but last month, asked about Turkey's BRICS ambitions, a spokesperson for the EU said that the European Union expects all its candidate countries, and Turkey still is a candidate, to firmly support European values. So how is this going to play out? Are Turkey's Western allies at some point going to come forward and say, wait a moment, that does not work for us, what can we offer you instead? And I think this is exactly the leverage the Turkish president is trying to use here.
In your report, you asked an analyst what BRICS membership would mean for Turkey's relations with the West. Let me put that same question to you. You've been living in Turkey now for several years. What would it mean?
Well, Turkey would be the first NATO member to join. Turkey is a country firmly anchored in the West, and it would join a club of nations that have come together explicitly to challenge the Western-led economic and geopolitical order. And that would be, experts are saying, a major diplomatic coup for Russia and China, because they could use that for their propaganda and say, look, now it's even NATO countries that want to join BRICS. So that's just another sign that the West is in decline. But living here in Turkey and seeing how the Turkish government, how Turkish President Erdogan communicates, they are very keen on emphasizing that Turkey's interest in BRICS, and by the way, also in other groupings like ASEAN or the China-led Shanghai Cooperation Organization, they do not mean an axis shift away from the West, let alone NATO. And that is also what experts are saying. Ankara is playing both sides, but that's driven primarily by economic needs and Turkey seeking for some strategic autonomy in a changing world order, in a world where Western dominance is more and more being questioned.
Yulia, thank you very much for your reporting and your insights. That was DW correspondent Yulia Han in Istanbul.
All right, joining me here in the studio now is DW business reporter and longtime China correspondent Clifford Coonan. So, Clifford, tell me, why is this summit so important to Vladimir Putin?
Well, Vladimir Putin has been looking forward to this event for a long time. He couldn't go to the previous one because he faced a possible arrest warrant, and he gets to stand and have these great photographs with the leaders of basically 45% of the world's population, 35% of the world's economy. It's a big move for him, and it's also a way to push this increasing agenda that we're seeing with Russia, China, and other members of the BRICS about an anti-US alliance.
Yeah, and that includes one of the main aims of of BRICS is a BRICS-led payment system that would reduce the power of the dollar as the world's reserve currency, as well as the SWIFT system, financial transactions. I mean, can they really make progress in, I guess, reducing the importance of the dollar?
Well, I don't think the dollar is going anywhere fast. I think, and particularly, I mean, China needs the dollar because it exports so much that it needs to keep these big balance of payments deficits there and surpluses. And you also have the fact that it's more about decentralizing it, maybe, but the key thing, I think, for Russia, though, is to find some way of paying for the war effort. And it can't do this in dollar areas anymore because of sanctions. So it's focusing on these countries here as a way of building some kind of intra-country trading system that will help. And that could be, it could be cryptocurrency. There's various things it could be. It could be the Chinese system. They're examining ways to do it. But I still think the dollar is very robust, and most countries don't want to.
And, you know, there's not necessarily a lot of mortar between these BRICS, right? I'm thinking of India and China. The leaders of both of these countries are going to meet for the first time for bilateral talks in 4 years. And that's important, isn't it?
It is. China and India don't get on. India is emerging. India's recently just overtaken China as the world's most populous country. It's becoming a big economy. China's economy is flagging while still growing strongly. So, and then they have these border disputes, and really they've got. They get on so badly in many ways, but they will try and find common ground because within this BRICS format. But ultimately, India is always playing both sides anyway, because it's got a lot of interests in having good relations with the US. It's enjoying at the same time cheap Russian oil, so it's trying to play both sides.
Well, who needs whom the most here? We've got about 30 seconds. I get the impression Russia needs them more than anyone. Maybe China and India need the others the least.
Yeah, I think China is building up this alliance against the US, and I think that's ultimately what the BRICS is all about.
Okay. Clifford, it's always good to have you in the studio. Good to get your analysis. Thank you.